Have you ever met someone who's incredibly smart, like scary smart, but also kind of strange? Maybe they forget to reply to messages for days, or they overthink the simplest decisions, or they seem completely lost in their own world while everyone else is just living normally. And you think, wait, if they're so intelligent, why do they act like this? Here's the thing no one tells you. High intelligence doesn't always look like confidence, success, or smooth social skills. Sometimes it looks like chaos. Sometimes it looks like weird habits that don't make sense on the surface, but make perfect sense when you understand what's happening inside the brain. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine your brain is like a computer. Most people are running a few tabs at once. Maybe music, maybe a conversation, maybe a plan for dinner. Manageable. But a very high IQ brain, that's like 47 tabs open, half of them running simulations about the future, a few analyzing past mistakes, some questioning reality itself, and one random tab wondering why humans even invented Mondays. And this is where things start to get interesting, because one of the first habits you'll notice in highly intelligent people is that they overthink, not casually, not occasionally, but constantly. It's like their brain refuses to settle for the first answer. Every decision branches into 10 more possibilities. Every simple choice becomes a mini philosophical debate. Should I send this message now or later? What tone does it carry? How will they interpret it? What if I'm misreading the situation entirely? By the time they're done thinking, the moment has passed. But here's the twist. This isn't weakness, it's depth. Their brain is wired to explore layers most people don't even notice. The downside is hesitation. The upside, when they do act, it's often incredibly well thought out. Now here's something even stranger. Highly intelligent people often procrastinate a lot. You'd think someone smart would be super productive, right? But sometimes it's the opposite. They delay tasks not because they're lazy, but because their brain is searching for the perfect way to do something. And if it doesn't feel meaningful, challenging, or mentally stimulating, they just can't force themselves into it. It's like giving a race car and asking it to drive in traffic at 20 kilometers per hour. Technically possible, but painfully frustrating. And that frustration, it often turns into avoidance. But then something interesting happens. When the pressure hits, they suddenly switch on. That same brain that avoided the task now hyper-focuses and produces something incredible in a short time. It's not ideal, but it's a pattern. Now let's talk about something that surprises a lot of people. Highly intelligent individuals actually enjoy being alone a lot. Not because they dislike people, but because solitude gives them something rare, silence from external noise, and space for internal exploration. Their thoughts are rich enough to keep them entertained. They don't always need constant stimulation from others. In fact, too much social interaction can feel draining. Small talk, repetitive conversations, surface-level topics. It can feel like their brain is being underused, so they retreat. And from the outside, it might look like isolation, but from the inside, it often feels like freedom. Now, here's where it gets a little deeper. Highly intelligent people tend to question everything. Rules, traditions, social norms, even their own beliefs. While most people accept things as just the way they are, a high IQ mind asks, but why? And then keeps asking again and again until they reach the root. This can make them seem rebellious or difficult, but it's actually curiosity taken to its extreme form. Think about it. Almost every major breakthrough in history came from someone who refused to accept the obvious answer. But here's the emotional side no one talks about. That same questioning mind often turns inward, and that's where self-doubt creeps in. Because when you can see multiple perspectives, multiple possibilities, and multiple flaws, you also start seeing your own limitations very clearly. You don't just feel confident blindly, you analyze your confidence, and sometimes you dismantle it. There's actually a psychological pattern where highly intelligent people underestimate their abilities, while less skilled individuals overestimate theirs. It's not because one is better than the other, it's because awareness changes perception. The more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know, and that can feel heavy. Now let's shift to something a bit more relatable. Have you ever noticed how some really smart people have unusual sleep patterns? They stay up late, their minds are active at night, ideas flow when the world is quiet. While others are sleeping, their brain is connecting dots, building concepts, replaying thoughts. It's not random. Research suggests that people with higher intelligence often have different circadian rhythms. Their peak thinking time doesn't always align with traditional schedules, so they adapt, even if it looks unconventional. And then there's humor. Highly intelligent people often have a very specific type of humor. It's subtle, sometimes dark, sometimes layered with meaning that not everyone immediately gets. They find connections between unrelated ideas, they twist perspectives, they play with concepts, and when someone does get their joke, that moment feels like finding someone speaking the same mental language. Now here's something you might not expect. They get bored easily. Not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, restless way. Repetition repetition, routine, predictability, it doesn't stimulate them enough. Their brain craves novelty, challenge, complexity, so they switch interests, dive deep into one topic, then suddenly lose interest. From the outside, it can look inconsistent, but internally, it's exploration. They're not avoiding commitment, they're following curiosity. And finally, there's emotional intensity. Highly intelligence doesn't cancel out emotions. In many cases, it amplifies them. They don't just feel things, they analyze them, replay them, question them. A simple interaction can turn into a deep emotional reflection. Did I say something wrong? What did they mean by that? What does this say about the relationship? It's exhausting sometimes, but it also creates empathy, depth, understanding, because when you've spent that much time inside your own mind, you start understanding others a little better too. So if you've ever felt like your mind is too much, too fast, too deep, too restless, maybe it's not a flaw. Maybe it's just a different way of processing the world, a way that comes with its own challenges, but also its own kind of strength. And maybe the goal isn't to fix it. Maybe the goal is to understand it and learn how to work with it instead of working against it. So I'm curious, which of these felt a little too familiar? Let me know what goes on inside your mind, because sometimes the things we think are weird about us are actually the things that make us who we are.